whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Welcome to Talking Horror with Jamie and Nikisha.
Hi, I'm Jamie.
And I'm Nikisha, and this is Talking Horror with Jamie,
And Nikisha.
where we share our love for spooky things, and talk horror through the lens of human behavior. I don't know where that ooh came from, but it just felt necessary. Ooh. I was taking a voiceover class. I think that's where that came from, guys. Sorry about that.
You're inspired.
I was. Well, listen, let's talk about inspiration because today we are talking about the 2022 American slasher film Halloween Ends. And Evil really died tonight, guys. We think. We'll see. Beautiful. So this movie was directed by David Gordon Green, and it was written by Green, Danny McBride, Paul Brad Logan, and Chris Bernier. Do you guys know anything else that they wrote? I think this is the first time I'm hearing these names.
Well, I know Danny McBride.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And David Gordon Green is also now doing the Exorcist like reboot trilogy, whatever they're doing on like Paramount. So like we'll talk. Let's at the we'll talk about what hands we think those are in at this point too.
Okay. Yes, that'll be good.
Oh, I guess like they've worked together before. Like them two have worked together on Eastbound and Down, Vice Principals, The Righteous Gemstones. So like all of those like big comedies that Danny McBride's typically in, they collaborate.
Nice. Yeah. Danny McBride definitely sounded familiar, but I didn't know for sure. But he's in the comedy world.
Eastbound and Down is one of the greatest things of all time.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Whoa, yes, greatest things. Beautiful. Well, this movie, of course, stars our lovely Jamie Lee Curtis, reprising her role as Laurie Strode. And we have James Jude Courtney / Nick Castle.
I think.
Yeah. So James Jude Courtney is the stunt double for Michael, and then Nick actually is the face of Michael Myers, and this is them coming back, reprising those roles. Then we have Andy Matichak, Will Patton, and Rowan Campbell rounding out the cast, and this is the 13th and hopefully final installment in the Halloween chain, but give it about 10 years, and I feel like there'll be something on the horizon.
10? I give it 3.
And they'll pull a scream.
Producer Brian here. So what happens is this will be the last Halloween movie under the Blumhouse banner, because with this movie releasing, the film rights, like the film series rights, actually reverts back to producer Malik Akkad following the release of this movie. So like this will be the end of like the Blumhouse stuff. This will be the end of like this trilogy, obviously, and this story. But like the Halloween rights revert back to somebody else after this movie is now released. So
wow,
we'll see.
It's like public domain stuff, and now you can just redistribute it however you want to.
Yeah. Like The Grinch is getting a horror movie. It's all wild.
God.
Oh my God. Or like that the Santa one.
Oh, Violent Night that's coming out.
I mean, that's like not I don't know if they're considering that horror, but
I mean, Violent Night, that's enough.
I don't know if that's like, I don't know, like, does Santa Claus count as like public domain, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, does someone own the rights to Santy?
I don't know.
To
the
Santa
Vatican.
Claus?
Anyway.
That's good. Well, obviously heavy spoilers for Halloween, and I'm sure we'll discuss a little bit of some of the other movies. So catch up if you need to catch up. There are 13 movies. And then come back and listen to us. Do your homework, guys. And Jamie, are there any trigger warnings for this?
It's a slasher flick, so there are lots of insides on the outside of all varieties. So I mean, I think just lots of slashing and dashing and ripping and
Prancer
roaring.
and Dancer and
I guess I got Santa Claus still on
right.
No, we got it's October. Purge all other
All of the
holidays
yep,
from your brain. We are
exactly.
in Halloween mode, people. Get it out.
Get it out. And I'll go as far as to say that Halloween continues until December. So
Sure.
we're
My
just gonna
my
bypass.
switchover is the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So spooky season continues, baby.
Yeah. Spooky spooks. So before we get into everything that is Halloween ends, producer Brian, do you have some words for the people out there?
Yeah, sure.
People.
Hey everybody, producer Brian. Follow along with us on all social media at Talk Horror Pod. We're on TikTok, we're on Twitter, we are on Instagram. Check us out in all those places. And then during October, we're doing a super fun. I watch a new horror movie every day or rewatch, and I'm doing some of that. So check that out. And then, of course, you can find us wherever you get podcasts. But thanks for tuning in. Oh, and if you're on YouTube, hi.
What's up?
We're also on YouTube, so you can watch all these videos and you can watch us be idiots as opposed to just listen to us.
Yes.
Yay. Have fun for you.
Very entertaining we are, I
Mhm.
think. So awesome. Well, is there anything new that you guys have watched? I will say that I finally sat my butt down and watched all of the OG VHS movie
Oh,
Yay.
nice.
in preparation for whenever we discuss the new one that is
Mhm.
coming out. But I've always started the movie and stopped it for whatever reason. So I
Mm.
finally got through it. And I think I just like the stories that are further in better than the first couple of ones. But
Sure.
I get it. It's cute. It's a cute anthology. I'm excited for the second one. What is it? S
VHS. So
90 something?
it's VHS, VHS 2,
Mm.
VHS Viral, VHS
Mm.
94, and then VHS 99 is coming out this month, and then next year is VHS 85.
Yeah. Let's keep going back in
Okay.
time.
Wait, so
Oh,
you
wonderful.
only watched the first one?
I only watched the first one.
Do you have a ranking of your favorite segments from that movie?
Mm.
I will say that I really enjoyed the trip with the boyfriend and the girlfriend. And then somebody was coming in and out of the hotel, and then it ends up that the girl and the girls they killed the boyfriend and took his money.
Mhm.
And I thought that
Mhm.
was amazing.
So you're
Um,
telling me your favorite one was the Ty West directed one?
no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we stand Ty West over here. I think he's my new fave. Oh well, I did
Mhm.
when the credits came up and I saw his name, I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I didn't realize that he was associated with that movie. So yeah. Um I I will say the one that I liked the least was the guys going through trying to find a VHS tape with the old man.
Oh yeah, like the narrative
Mm.
story. Totally.
Yeah. Like, why are
Yeah.
we going
Mhm.
back to this? Find me something new.
Hmm.
And then the whole haunted house at the end was so campy, but I loved
Oh
it.
yeah, with the
Mhm.
bear costume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was Radio Silence, which did the newest Scream.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like everyone who, at least in this first one, has done like a whole bunch of stuff
Mhm.
in the horror world. I mean, I
Yeah.
think they mostly continue to like work on the VHS movies too.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good team because it was very entertaining and out the box, and I just loved how it was filmed. It was
Mhm.
really fun to sit there and watch, and way more gruesome than I anticipated. That girl who had the tracking device in her arm and
Oh
was like
yeah.
on
Yeah.
FaceTime just trying to like scratch it out. I liked that one too.
Mhm.
That was
Yeah.
fun.
My favorite is the bachelor party one, the like guys night out with the
Oh
siren.
yeah, Amateur Night,
Oh
the David
Amateur night.
Bruckner
yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's my
Mhm.
favorite one.
Mhm.
Mhm.
When you said gory, I was like, "Oh yeah, they dropped somebody." Like
Yeah.
yeah.
That was yeah, I can't wait for us to cover the other ones, but I'm gonna continue
Mhm.
watching the rest of them. I didn't realize there were that many before the next one that's about to come out. So I gotta catch up and do my homework. I'm gonna do it. What have y'all watched this week?
I watched Deadstream, which is uh a new one on Shudder. It's
Mm,
like a live streaming, so like kind of found footagey, but live streaming comedy horror.
mm,
And it's about this guy who is this like YouTube personality, and he like he did something bad. He lost all his sponsorships, and so he's trying to like win back his audience and sponsorships by going into this like supposedly haunted house and
Oh,
live
wow.
streaming the whole thing. And it was really entertaining because he's like not a good person. And so like you're kind of rooting for like the spooky things to happen to him.
Yeah. I love
But
that.
it was very entertaining. And I think all of the effects are practical effects. Everything. Which I was very impressed by. So it's
Yeah.
streaming now on Shudder and yeah, Deadstream.
Yeah, Shutter, come on in and help us out.
Woo-hoo.
And we'll
Hey
support
Shutter.
you.
Hey Shutter, it's producer Brian. We'd love for you to sponsor us. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Love.
We love it.
Love
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
should
That
just
has been
tag
our
Shutter in all our
Shutter
posts.
shout out.
Yes. Good. Oh, guys, we cannot go one moment without at least acknowledging the Megan trailer that
Oh
came
yeah.
Oh my God. I'm saying
viral
it right now.
sensation.
I stand Megan. She is
Yes.
move out of the way, Annabelle. Go somewhere
Chucky.
else, Chucky. Megan, I mean, like between the dance moves,
The TikTok dances.
I can't not watch anybody on TikTok like do impressions of her. They do
Yeah.
them very well too, even like the flip that she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care what the quality of this movie is going to be. I'm going to watch it.
And give it up for the marketing team because they knew who their audience was and they
Yeah.
knew what to put in that trailer.
Totally.
Because
Absolutely.
people who don't even go out for spooky spooks will be in the theaters to see Megan because she's what people say on TikTok for the she's, gays, and theys. So everyone will be in attendance, and I can't wait. I want to try to throw a watch party with the Hamilton cast so we
Oh my
can
God.
Oh my
yes.
gosh.
all go and watch it in the theater.
That's
But
amazing.
I just had to bring it up because I
Yeah.
know we've watched it a million times.
Um
Okay.
Oh wait,
yes.
two more things. We started Midnight Club finally.
Oh, yes.
We're 3 episodes in. So far digging it, really enjoying it. It has this it's very interesting because it's like half Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark, but then half Flanagan. So you get that like grief, that you're working through human emotions, like connections and all of that. And then you get the spooky spooks along with like this like young, because it's based on a young adult novel. It feels very young adult. Obviously there are teens starring in it and young adults, but like it definitely feels like I hate saying this, but like I didn't mean this as that, but like it feels like I won't use elevated. It feels like a more layered young adult story. So we're 3 in, excited about that. And just my mom has binged Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor in like 2 days and is currently watching Midnight Mass, and she's like obsessed. So that was like she like crazy. So Flanagan
Come through,
all over
Mom.
the house in our family.
Woo-woo.
Yes. Well, we stand Flanagan as well. Oh, I
Mhm.
got to get started on that. You know how many episodes are in the
I
season?
think it's 10.
10. Okay. So many good things to watch.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Is that
Yeah.
all that y'all have watched this week?
Yeah, let's get it.
think
Let's
so.
end this.
Let's end this. Oh, okay. But we need a plot summary of how it ended. So Brian raised his hand.
I'll do it.
What's the plot?
Yeah.
All right, let's set you up. All right, you have 2 minutes on the clock to tell us everything about what happens in Halloween Ends. Are you ready?
I've never been more ready for anything in my life. That's probably not true, but let's do this.
Wow, no, very impressive. All right, and ready, set, what happened? Go.
So this is Halloween Ends. It takes place 4 years after Halloween Kills. We open with a babysitter accidentally killing a kid, but because there's like the Michael Myers is kind of in the background of all their heads because of the horrible things. Laurie has kind of turned the corner. She's trying to live her life a little bit more free than she did before. Her granddaughter is now a nurse in Haddonfield, but Haddonfield is different. There's a lot more like aggressive nature. People are mean to Laurie because she brought this evil back into town. And then the boy who killed the other boy was acquitted, and he's more of an adult now. He starts to date Laurie's granddaughter. The two, there's a lot. He runs into Michael Myers in the sewers. We'll talk about if evil passes to him or if he's always been evil. But he starts killing in the name of Michael Myers. He beats up some band geeks because, as we all know, marching band geeks are the bullies of high school. And then essentially what happens here is that he starts doing it on behalf of Michael, but Laurie sees something in his eyes that reminds her of Michael. And then at the end, she's trying to break them up, her granddaughter and Corey. And then Corey ends up dying, kills himself in front of Laurie because Laurie goaded him, essentially. And then Michael shows back up, and then Michael and Laurie have a showdown. Michael almost pins Laurie. Laurie kills Michael along with her granddaughter, and then the whole town gathers to crush his bones and watch him die. And then Laurie finds love again with the sheriff. The end.
That was
You
great.
still have 20 seconds left.
Oh, Laurie's granddaughter leaves town. Everybody forgives each other, and Halloween ended. And there's a lot of meta stuff that has to do with the original Halloween movies as well as Haddonfield as a whole. Haddonfield feels almost like Gotham, like a character in the Batman movies.
And you are
Yeah, maybe I added too much there, but you know what I mean.
And that's the plot.
No, it was still great. That was a really great summary. And way more than what I could have remembered that happened in that movie. And I just watched it yesterday.
Nikisha, did you go to the movies or did you watch it on Peacock?
No, I watched it on Peacock.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah. I couldn't get, well, the movie theater scene here is not super great where I am. So I'm happy that this was streaming so we could watch it. But let's get into it, guys, and talk about our likes and gripes.
And now our likes and gripes.
Jamie, would you like to go first?
Sure. Let me pull up my notes. All right.
We have so many notes.
Oh, I'm so
God.
excited.
All right. Basically, I've heard that this film is very divisive. Some people are happy with it. Some people are not happy with it. And I will share off the bat, this movie is not for me. I am not happy with this. And then I don't have anything, bad to say about other people who enjoy this movie. But for me, this was not the satisfying conclusion that I was hoping for. My biggest gripe is that I don't give two craps about Corey. Why are you introducing this character that is supposedly so integral to this story in the third and final chapter of this whole trilogy of this? I get that there is a thesis that they are trying to say in all of these films, but it just feels so unearned and lazy because I don't care about this guy at all. The weird relationship that suddenly is budding with Corey and Allison, how does she know who he is? They're talking to each other as if they've known each other their whole lives. But I'm like, who is that? He just showed up. He literally just showed up. Why do I care? I do not care about Corey. There's so much attention on him. And that, for people who weren't crazy about it, that's what I feel like the biggest complaint is. They came to see a Halloween movie, and Michael Myers you only see for, the briefest of moments. What? Corey also is, stronger. He's able to,
take his mask
physically
off.
Defeat Michael Myers. He takes his mask. Why does Michael decide not to kill him? All these things just don't make any sense to me, and I feel are not consistent with and I know that we've gotten 1,000 bajillion, it's a chain that has restarted and restarted again and rebooted again. So there's all of these things, but the through line's always the first one. So I'm just why are we saying that he's now he is discriminately killing people? He's not just killing whoever. Why is Corey so special? So that is my biggest gripe. My first note is literally, I do not care about Corey. My third note is, why is Corey so klutzy? Why is everyone just it's clownish. It's just so ridiculous. Human people don't, I am clumsy, but it's mostly me slightly misjudging where my arm is in relation to a door frame. I'm not constantly throwing things all over the place. It was between him being so clumsy, but also being so strong and like more, you know, able than Michael Myers, who I also understand is very old at this point.
Mhm.
But still, like, this klutz is supposed to be murdering all of these people? I don't think so. Like, that already does not make any sense to me.
Mhm.
I also feel like this movie treats the audience as if we are very dumb. And they're like, they're being so obvious about things. I literally paused the movie with the tarot card scene and wrote down, oh, you pulled the death tarot. It means the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new one. And I paused and I was like, are they like, how stupid do they think that I am as the viewer? Like, you did not need to even need to say that. That was like, that was the part you were supposed to just like show and not tell. Now you did both. And I feel like you think I'm the dumbest person on earth watching this thing. So that really annoyed me. And I also, oh man, I really, really, really hate the trope of misunderstandings. That also feels super lazy and like unearned because things can be very easily explained, and then for whatever reason people just like stop communicating, and it's like they're seeing something and then it's like, oh, what oh, you're really the bad guy, or I can't believe you did this, and it's like, why can't you just like pause, and this is
And
such an
talk about
easy
it.
fix. Yeah. And it's so annoying that like, I hate when movies do that. I hate when media does that. It feels super lazy to me because in real life, people are. I mean, some people sure have a problem with communication and skills related to like expressing themselves, but like I feel like it doesn't. It's not this extreme where it's like these like fundamental big things. They're just like getting lost because like people just aren't talking to each other. Like, just talk. It doesn't make sense. What is happening? I like, Lori is such an excellent final girl, and like then all of these things that, you know, make her so great, I feel like they really disempowered her in this, and it's like so frustrating. Like, just allow her to speak. She's such a different character from the first Halloween, like in this trilogy, where she's like, I mean, again, she's affected by this trauma, but she's like, she's such a badass, and she's acting, but like at least I feel like you can get why she's acting in a certain way. This feels like her actions and like who she was are again like not in concert with one another, and it just doesn't make sense. So many people are acting outside of their character that we've been able to see over these last two films. I'm like, who are these people? Like, I don't. Allison makes no sense in this movie. It's like, it's very hard to watch whatever she's doing and like the choices that she's making. It doesn't make sense. So I just kept writing down how I hate misunderstandings. It's so unnecessary. They're communicating so poorly. No one in this town has manners. Everyone's a jerk. I like, it's so annoying. And then again, I wrote, I hate misunderstandings. They are cheap. Oh, the other two things I wrote down are when he said, I'm not interested in immortality. I was like, ugh, grown. Again, really dumb. I'm over it. And then the last one was evil changes shape. I just wrote, dear God. And that was when I stopped taking notes because I was like, I can't. Why am I'm not that dumb. I'm not that smart, but I'm not that dumb. You don't have to be so painfully obvious. Like, let us figure some things out. But they did not allow me to do so, and that is why this film is not for me.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that just because you said a lot of the things already, so I won't repeat. Truly, the first thing that I said, okay, that was an opening, because you don't know where it's going to go, but you're starting off something, like you said, Jamie. You're starting off this trilogy with a whole new story, and you're trying to do the thing where it all has that kind of like opening. It feels like very Scream-esque of like, okay, we have to have our first kill. Here's the opening, blah, 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 whatever. But you don't even have Michael Myers in it. And I checked it. You don't even see Michael until 40 minutes in. And this is supposed to be the last movie that he is a part of. So
yeah, and he's living in a drain for 4 years.
And he's living in a drain. And another thing I put that Brian kind of mentioned, I said, not the band kids being bullies. No. that's a major gripe. I did like the flashes of the OG movie. I know that that's not everybody's like bebop, but for some people who don't want to watch a whole stream of things, to have something that's, I would rather you have clips from the old movie than try to recreate the clips from the old movie, with like CGI or whatever the case may be. So it's like, yes, go ahead and just put the OG clips if you're going to put it in there. Fine, I like it. I I also put, did Michael pull a Twilight, an imprint on Corey? But when you mentioned it, Jamie, it's weird because the kid at the beginning was like, Michael Myers doesn't kill kids, he kills babysitters, right? And so then this Corey accidentally kills the kid. And now Michael looks at his life and says, "Oh, yeah, I see that you've killed a kid. Here you go. I'll let you go free." And you kill other, like that through line doesn't make sense. Because if you want Corey to be like Michael, then there is, you didn't make any relationship, like anything related to Michael with Corey. And it just all doesn't make sense to me. So whatever. I have questions that I'm going to ask you guys too, but it's the movie. It should have just been an hour and 15 of like Lori and Michael going back and forth until it was the end. And I think everyone would be more satisfied than trying to put commentary on things that don't need commentary. And we'll talk about that as well. And it's, yeah, give the people what they want. It's just like the Friday the 13th movies. Like, you can be campy and go to the extreme, but don't try to be a movie that has commentary on things and be so sloppy about it. And so, like Jamie said, make the audience seem like they're stupid when that's not the case. Just have Michael and Laurie going at it, and I think that it will be totally fine. I will say, and this will be my last thing, the tongue death with the DJ was my favorite kill out of
That was a
the
good one.
whole movie.
That
Yes.
was a good one.
Brian.
Sure. I did not enjoy this movie. However, I loved the opening sequence and I loved the ambition of this movie. I think this movie's flaw is in its execution. I think this movie's intent is fascinating. I understood what this movie was trying to do. I mean, they hammered it into our heads with the dad in the pool hall, the opening scene, the Nietzsche quote that the DJ has. Like, the tarot card Jamie mentioned, every single scene in this movie had some philosophy that someone from Haddonfield like happened to know, and like and so they're jamming it down their DJ throats. They're jamming it down our throats to like say that, like, these supposedly very interesting things about evil and towns and stuff like that. I think in theory it's fascinating. The first movie in this trilogy was the showdown between the three women, Lori, her daughter, and her granddaughter, and Michael, and they lose. And that's totally fine because that movie is amazing and we're going to get another one. The second one is about the town and who's the real villain here. Is it the town like cast, on Michael, or is Michael because he actually is like the murderer? Did they make him that way? All that. I think that's fascinating, and that reflects a little bit of like Halloween 2, like expanding the story. And then this third one, I get it. What they're trying to do, they're trying to like, they say it a million times, like, is evil contagious? Is evil inside of us? Does the town make us evil? Do our surroundings make us evil when we don't have it? Is it always inside? Like all of that stuff. I get it. Like, but I just think this movie was like somebody saying, like, I'm going to bake a pie. And it's going to be the best pie you ever tasted in your whole life. It's going to be layered, super interesting, tons of different delicate flavors, and you're so excited for the pie because, like, you've been set up for this like very thrilling like end game, which is like eating the pie. And then they like don't use they don't use a recipe, and they're just like throwing things into the pie, and like it's still a pie, but like you just didn't like you didn't finesse. There wasn't enough finesse. There wasn't enough like, it just like, it's this gloop in front of you. And
Yeah.
I think it was just a poorly executed, excellent idea. So I understand if people like this movie, they're attaching themselves to these ideas. They like the fact that they're switching it up a little bit, like Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which I've never seen, but I also hear that like the blue text in this movie is reminiscent of Halloween 3. So the idea is that Michael's not really in this one, just like he's not in that one. So it's like an homage to that as well. And then in this one, they're watching The Thing at the beginning of this movie. Obviously, like huge like analogy for the fact that like, you know, evil takes, all of us
Control.
inside and whatnot. And in the original movie, they're watching the original Thing movie on TV. So like I get what you're trying to do. You phone it in the first sequence, which I think is great, because I think the idea of this babysitter attempting to like show the kids movies, scare him a little bit, whatever. But Michael's always in the background. That's the cool thing about this movie. Michael is always in the background. He's in the background of their minds. He doesn't need to be in the town for there to be evil in the town. I think that's awesome. I think it's really poorly done. The scenes are awful. That one scene where she's talking to the sheriff in the grocery store about her hair is so poorly written and gross. Like, it's just hard to side with these characters who I've actually kind of gotten to like over two movies. Allison is just a different character, and I'm okay with her being a different character because her mother and father, I've got peanut butter on my penis, died. And you're obviously that's going to have a huge impact on you, but like it just didn't track at all for some reason. Like, and I get it. Like, I love when they go out to the party and they're two traumatized people letting loose. I thought that was great. And then the mother who still dresses as a flapper sees him there and is just like, I like the idea that she puts on the same costume every year because maybe it'll change. You know what I mean? Like, I like all of that stuff, but I just think it's so poorly executed and written. I mean, first of all, if you saw at the beginning when he's riding his bike, someone spray painted "Love Lives Today" instead of "Evil Dies Tonight" on one of the walls. Yeah. My biggest gripe about those are all my likes. I love what it was trying to do, and I also did like the final fight scene in like the last like 5 minutes of the movie. Like that was what I wanted. Okay. I'm just gonna run these down because I know we have to get to other stuff. But yeah, the marching band. In no community are the kids from a marching band the bullies and the bad guys. That was just so truly unbelievable, and I don't know why you just don't make them like something else, or the losers from school or whatever it is. Because like I think very similar to other movies we watch, like the dad is mean to the kid, so the kid picks on somebody else. It just felt very disingenuous that it was the marching band kids. I don't know.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Here are my quotes from the movie that I loved. Cute, isn't she? What the fuck is wrong with people in this town? The doctor making that comment to the nurse, like, also,
So crazy.
is a theme of this that like the men are evil in this town because the women don't speak up, because that's one of the messages that they put through here. Like when Corey's like, why don't you speak up to them, she's like, well, I'm almost, she like makes her excuses, and he's like, basically to me it's saying that like you're perpetrating, or you're perpetuating, excuse me, the evil by not speaking up, which is like not necessarily false, but it was also weird for that character to like put that on the women of the thing, and then the other nurse was sleeping with the doctor. Anyway, great scene. It's gonna make you sad even if you don't think it does. Thank you, Corey. Quote, boys who keep secrets don't get custard for dessert.
Oh, that mom.
Yeah, and then the mom,
That mom. Oh my God.
when she kisses him on the mouth.
Why? Why? What is this movie?
The DJ, you teased him. Your grandma teased a man with brain damage, and he snapped. Like, I think that was a weird line, but I think that was an interesting concept. That like all of a sudden Lori is being framed as the evil in the town, even though she didn't really do anything. But people need somebody to blame now that Michael's not around. And like, I like that idea. I like the idea that Haddonfield is a character. Like, yes, it's overly campy about how they're evil and stuff like that, but I like that. I just don't think it was done well. And then, of course, his dad. I hope you find love.
Oh, that poor dad.
So just some other things. The whole like transferring evil and printing thing, like I don't think this movie made a decision if like Michael like is supernatural and like got to him, or if like we're supposed to say like was the evil inside of him. Like it's being very literal about something that and I'm not sure if it's trying to be an analogy or an I'm not sure what it's trying to do there, which is fine. I felt like it never made a decision. A movie can make a decision and still be ambiguous. This feel like they never made an actual decision.
Yeah.
Why did she go see Corey's mom? That doesn't make sense. Because nothing happened in that scene. So he kills the cop in the tunnel, and he gets stronger because he's murdering. Okay, fine. That tracks if we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
did the town create evil, or was it always there? Six Infection. I did like her being trapped underneath the gate, underneath the car. That was very scary. Um,
Yes. Yes.
the niche
Yes.
quote. Oh, I do not like that this movie makes it a point to say that she has been sober, and then in order to go through with her plan at the end, she has to have a drink. I think
Mm-hmm.
that completely tied into Jamie's thought before about like making her weaker. Like I thought that was gross. That she needed to have like a sip of alcohol to go through with her fake suicide plan, which I think was a good plan. But like
Yeah.
I absolutely like found that kind of yucky that like it needed to do that. Um Pans and kitchen appliances are the real MVP and hero of this story. Um uh Also I guess Haddonfield's big enough that they have a "You're leaving Haddonfield now" sign. Um don't know if I'd woo a lady with a vegetable basket, but like that's okay too.
But
Yeah,
there you go.
it was a fascinating concept in the wrong movie. That's where I go with that. I
I think
like the
that's a
end.
good.
I did like the end. Like I like that the
Yep.
town was like lifting him and like throwing him in because like we are getting it was looked it but it felt like a silly scene when I think it could have been way more powerful. Also, what Jamie said earlier, what you needed to do to improve this trilogy is um introduce Corey in the second movie as a
Mm,
friend of Allison, who she feels bad for in some ways, but because we know his story, we like kind of know what happened through pieces. And then you open up the third one with what actually happened. And
right.
so, like, you get like pieces of his story there. And one, he and Allison already have a relationship. Two, you already know the rumors about this kid, but now you actually see what happened. And I feel like that's a little bit more of a way to massage him into the story. Like, you don't just like introduce him in like that's why people don't like season 2 of Lost, because you're introducing the tale. Like anytime you introduce new characters on Lost because you're on an island, like, oh yeah, they were on the plane. Like it have a hard time like stomaching that. And if you had him
Mhm.
as a background character in other movies, like then maybe. But so I appreciated what this movie was trying to do. I've thought about it a lot since we watched it on Friday. But it's not for me. I didn't like it because I don't think it's a well-made movie, but I think the intent is interesting.
Yeah. Those are all really, really good points. Especially yes, claps for Brian.
Thank you.
Uh
Thank you.
No, because especially with the Corey thing, because I did think it was really fast how him and Allison got together, and that was creepy in and of itself. And just saying that their bond is going to be because of their trauma bonding. That's going to be what lights the way for their relationship is really sloppy. Beautiful. Well, let's get into some brains because
Brains.
I know we got a lot to talk about, especially with how they depict evil and all those kinds of things. But the first thing that I want to kind of ask you, Jamie, is let's talk about let's talk about kids and horror movies and being exposed at a young age and what that could potentially do to their minds. And I know in a previous episode we talked a little bit about how we would, if we had kids, what movies we would share with them and all this stuff. But I just want to know, Jamie, do you have any thoughts or inputs on exposing kids too young to horror movies and what it could potentially do to their developing minds?
Yeah, I mean, I can like giving personal anecdotes. I mean,
Hmm.
it definitely made me have a lot of fears of a lot of things at a young age and had nightmares.
Mm,
So I understand like when the mom in the beginning is talking about like this kid's like really fixated on this thing that he's
mhm.
also afraid of. And I get that because it's like sometimes in understanding or having more information, we feel like that can like offset the fear or the anxiety. And like in some I feel like in some situations, in some contexts, like, yeah, like the more you learn about it, the more you can kind of debunk it and be like, "Oh, okay, like it's not as scary as I previously thought because like I didn't know
Mhm.
as much or like there was a lot of unknowns and I had to fill in the blanks and I filled it in with like scarier things." But like,
Right.
when you offer more information, sometimes like that can be helpful. But I think in general, like there are certain things that like young people probably don't need to see super young, and
Exactly.
it probably is only making it more difficult for for parents when their kids are seeing these things. I mean, hey, like I had sleep issues like my entire childhood from
Mm,
barely glimpses of spooky things that I saw when I was a kid. And I was
yeah.
just an anxious kid. So like that definitely did not
It
help.
didn't help.
Not really. But like
Yeah.
outside of that, like developmentally, I mean, I don't I can't really think of anything like more. I think it just like depends on what it is and like how how then are the parents like trying to support their kid in like whatever it was that they saw or like what were exposed to. I also
Yeah.
think like seeing something one time versus seeing it repeatedly also looks different.
That's fair.
Um, so like a one off, if it truly was like a one off, the impact looking differently compared to like somehow repeatedly seeing like scary images or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. That makes sense. So, let's talk about the commentary on, is a person born with evil or is it their environment and all the things. So I just want to ask a more generalized question on, how much do you think change happens within a person due to their environment or how people treat them, how they're brought up, in relation to change that happens because something was already on the inside of you, speaking towards, if there's evil inside of you as opposed to was it brought out of you.
Yeah, like nature versus nurture. It always comes
Absolutely.
back to nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like me, I personally kind of lean on, what role does like your environment and the things around you, how does that influence your perspective, your experiences, your values, all of that stuff. And so like I don't know if I don't know if I would say that I feel like things get like unlocked, but I do wonder, like, at least in the context of this, a town that's already primed for a huge shared collective trauma. And
Hmm.
then, like, when something else bad happens, like, how quick are they to, apply the things that they're already kind of like thinking of or like is on their mind to somebody when like something bad happens, even if it's an accident.
Yeah.
And like, you know, the person on the receiving end, like every the things that we got, like the snippets of like who Corey was before,
Hmm.
were like, oh, this was like unheard of and yada yada. Which actually, as a side note, I always get annoyed in like true crime things when people are interviewed after like something terrible happens
Yeah.
and everyone's anecdote is like, "Oh my god, like, Johnny would never. Like that was unheard of. Johnny was a
Hmm.
nice boy." And I'm just like, "Ugh, like okay, let's stop with that
Yes.
because I it's just like first of all, who are these people that are like speaking to say that know who this person is and like what's going on for this person? Like,
Hmm.
if anything, the anecdote should be coming from like hopefully the mental health professionals that like might have
Yes.
had contact with them. Like, where's the therapist that's helping Corey with this awful situation that
Right.
like is a
Right.
total accident? But like, of course, it's going to impact him. Like, you can't imagine like the guilt that he must feel as a result of something like this.
Absolutely.
And so like his therapist is truly the only person whose opinion I care about. Obviously his mom is, I don't know what is going on with his mom. I can't handle Corey's mom.
Corey and his mom sitting in a tree.
Okay, no, thank you. But so like I think that, you know, if you're like just constantly on this receiving end of people viewing you a certain way,
Mhm.
I don't think that means that like that person then, you know, okay, well, if they want a killer, I'll be their killer. Like that's
Right.
a movie trope. That's
Yes.
not real life things. Like if
Yes.
anything, I feel like people at their core are resilient and they want to prove people wrong, and they'll put way more energy into like challenging people's beliefs versus being like, "Oh, well they think I'm bad, so I'll show them bad." Like
Mhm.
nobody does that. That's not like, this isn't real life. So I feel like even, I mean, I get the desire to be like, I'm over Havenfield. Like, I also can't understand why all these people are staying in this place. Like,
Number one.
that doesn't make sense to me at its core. And not saying that people don't stay in places where like tragedy and trauma strike, but it's just like the way that this community has like evolved from all of this, like
Mhm.
especially the people who have been directly impacted. Why are you staying here? Why are you not, you know, getting the hell out of Dodge? Like that doesn't
Yes.
make sense. So if anything, I understand like Corey, you know, facing like the wrath of this entire town that's like treating him this way because of an accident, and they're like putting their own crap on him,
Mhm.
like having dealt with Michael Myers. They're like putting that on Corey, even though like, and he doesn't have to necessarily, you know, internalize that. Like maybe if he got therapy, maybe if he left, then he could just like, you know, like address the guilt and like trauma that he experienced going through
Right.
this situation, and like and then start over in a place where like people aren't, you know, accusing him or like putting their own stuff on him.
Mhm.
But like yeah, then the through line doesn't make sense of like, no, he's inherently evil. So I'm not talking about that.
Of
Doesn't
course.
make sense.
Yes. But also, I mean, it sounds like the moral of the story is where was his therapist?
Yeah.
Because
Where are the therapists?
where
That's
are the
the people
therapists?
want to know, and the people are me.
Yes, exactly.
I
Especially
am
because
the people.
I think Allison does mention that like Lori was in therapy and like, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
getting herself together, but I want to hear
I
from that
think
therapist.
I think they talk about that in the first movie, if I'm not mistaken, because they're
Mm,
talking about like, you know, the trauma that Lori has experienced and how that has like evolved her character again, because her character is like totally different in the first one.
Well,
yeah.
And like
in the
they talk
first
about
one,
like cognitive behavioral therapy, don't they?
I think so, but I think in the first one, we haven't seen it in a while, but
Mm.
I'm just off the top of my dome, um, off the top of the
Yeah.
dome. I think we were to assume that Laurie's daughter, the Judy Greer character, was a therapist, because remember in that scene she talks about like her clients,
Oh.
and I think she mentions cognitive
Yes.
behavior. Like I think we're supposed to assume that she became a therapist because her mom was so screwed up. I think
That's
that's what we're
right.
thinking of. But yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, I think you are also correct. But I do like, I think that, you know, in both like trying to get sober and dealing with her alcoholism, dealing with the trauma that she experienced, like all that to say, I'm glad that she's seemingly getting the support that like she needed this whole time. There's no such thing as like too little, too late when it comes to therapy.
Yes.
You can go at any time.
Mhm.
And yeah, so like that made me happy that, you know, she's like getting this support that she needed. She really needed it, and like is actually
Absolutely.
accessing it. So good job, Laurie
Yes.
Strode. Woohoo.
Good
woo!
job. Okay, so a favorite of mine, we need to Billy or Stu Corey.
Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative. Yeah, pizza scream, baby.
Billy or Stu?
So Jamie, let's talk about it. Billy or Stu? I feel like I know what your answer is going to be, but let's have
Okay,
at it.
so I actually I'm having a really hard time with this one because there's so much that like doesn't really make sense to me about his actions. Like
Mm.
I get that all the people that are being targeted are people that have wronged Corey previously. But
Yes.
also why is Michael following him around to all of these places? Like how I don't understand like the symbiosis between Corey and Michael Myers were like now they are accomplices, like they're working, like they're collaborating.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. So that makes it harder for me to kind of suss out. Like in some ways, I feel like there's some Billy in there because it seems like he's orchestrating this intentionally. But I also feel like he's going back and forth between like murdering people and then like picking up and driving around Allison.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how thoughtful are these plans? Like, how much are you like, directing all of this stuff? It doesn't really make sense to me. So I actually don't think that he's either.
He's a Stewie.
Yes. He's a Stewie. He's a
Yeah,
combination
I
of both.
guess.
Yes.
I don't know. He's both, but neither. He's like in his own category because, like, again, I'm not totally clear on what is going
He's
on.
a
Yeah,
Michael.
is there a third one?
He's a Michael. No, but
Yes.
Jamie, I think what you just said actually encompasses a lot of my problems with this movie. Is that thematically, I get it. Thematically, Michael and Corey are the same in that, but also not in that, like, the town created villains out of these people. For instance, like, Michael killed his sister. He probably needed help, like, whatever the case may be. But we, as a society, put the label of evil on him without helping. And then Corey's, which is not as serious. I mean, it is serious, but it's a very different scenario. Like, he actually got off. But the town didn't, like, support him. They did that. I totally understand thematically where they're coming from. However, logistically in the movie, you need to do a better job explaining it to me than like some weird Twilight imprinting.
Yes. Absolutely. And to your point, Jamie, too, of that whole following, Michael Myers following Corey around, the only thing that I can think of is that he was also just trying to find other random people to kill so he could get stronger. So like Corey was on his way to kill somebody, but Michael may have been like, all right, I'm going to get to this person so that I can, because I'm only thinking of the nurse friend who was not a friend of me, who got the promotion. And Corey went to the house to kill the doctor and the whatever, but then Michael Myers comes and kills the nurse friend. I can only and then he does like this weird like I'm getting my powers thing after he killed somebody. It's just like really weird.
So are we to assume that he went to the doctor and nurse's house as sort of like revenge for Allison?
I would think that,
so.
yeah.
Because then that's obviously also different than Michael. He's actually picking off people that, like,
Right.
not just get his way, but he's going out of his way to seek revenge, like, with these relationships he's had, which is fine, but also, like...
Sorry, your audio just went, like, very spooky.
Wait, am I still spooky right now?
No, you're normal again.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I think, okay, Nikisha, you experienced that too. That wasn't just me. Okay.
Yes.
It sounded like you were possessed, and then it went back to normal.
Oh no, I've been imprinted by Michael!
I really hope that is captured.
Yeah, we'll
in
see.
The recording.
So if it wasn't captured, friends, that's weird. If it was captured, like, I didn't hear it, so.
Spooky.
Yeah. I'll stop there, but you understand my point.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sorry, that just really took me out, and I'm so happy that you also heard that, Jamie.
Both of your eyes lit up, being like, one, I was like, oh no, I'm on mute this whole time. Then I thought to myself, like, oh, they hate what I'm saying. They hate it so much. And then I was like, maybe they said this already and I wasn't listening, but I listened to the whole thing. And then I like had that immediate millennial anxiety inside of myself until you tell me exactly what's happening. That's the real horror here. Millennial anxiety is the real monster. Corey's monster is millennial anxiety.
Oh boy.
Oh god.
Yeah, the whole town doesn't
That
like
was
him. That's
wonderful.
literally a millennial's fear.
That is yes.
Sure. Oh
And still the
god.
fact that you have to interact with them in some capacity, that's
Mhm.
always not fun.
100%.
Okay, my last question, and this is an open thing, and we've already sort of kind of discussed this, so you can shorthand this if you said it. But do you feel like this movie is giving commentary on something, and if so, was that commentary necessary?
Can I start?
Yes, go ahead.
I think it's trying to. I think it's all over the place in terms of what's actually. It never fine tuned its thesis, and
Okay.
therefore it's a little bit all over the place. I don't know if
Mhm.
I think like mob mentality and the effect that larger groups have on individuals is fascinating. I just don't think this movie like bunted instead of hitting a home run.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Because and I just think about it too, and it kind of goes back to when we were talking about Barbarian and just some of the thematic themes, and me just listening to the director say, I at first just wanted to make a fun horror movie, and then there's just other things that get put in or layered within the movie. But I I just think that sometimes you don't have to have. I understand we're in a time where there are things that need commentary, that you need to commentate on, but all in all, in essence, like if you just want to make a horror movie for horror movie's sake, and you just want to have all of the insides on the outsides, like that is also in itself the genre. And so the idea that things need to have commentary attached to it can be a disservice, and I think that it is a disservice to me in this movie, because the whole chain is set up as just a fun horror movie. Like when you watch the first Halloween movie, you don't really think about, oh, this is making a thesis statement about this. It's like, no, this is a slasher movie. That's what it is.
Well,
And not to say the two are mutually exclusive, but go ahead.
I'll let Jamie take this because we were talking about this in
Yeah.
the car the other day about like what the original Halloween like
Yeah.
is
I
and
mean,
represents.
I think I think the thesis of the original one, in addition to just like being a scary slasher,
Mm.
is the idea that like, historically people seek safety in the suburbs, and like it's supposed to be safer compared to like city living,
Fair.
or even like like rural, where like you have
Compared to what?
don't worry about it. Living in a city, and or compared to like, in rural areas where you have like the hills have eyes kind of thing.
Mm.
But now this idea that like, oh, the suburbs aren't the safe haven that we once thought they were. Look at this, where some like scary things can happen here, and really like disrupting that idea. So like that's what I feel like the thesis is of the OG one. And
Yeah.
then this trilogy, then taking the like, what happens to a town? How does it evolve after experiencing, this type of trauma collectively?
Absolutely.
But again, I feel like the message is like there's just too much going on that I feel like is distracting from that core message of like, again, like I feel like the attempt makes sense. Like I am interested in what happens to this town as a result of experiencing this thing.
Mm.
But I just don't I'm not the execution did not land for me.
Yeah. No, I can get that. And that through line does make sense. But all in all, if it's sloppy, it's sloppy.
Yeah.
For
So,
sure.
yeah.
Like the sloppy
Cool.
joes they were buying in that grocery store.
Is that
Ooh.
what they were buying?
No, I just wanted to say that. I'm so sorry, everyone. We'll do Rotten Tomatoes. I'll mute.
No. Okay. Well, is there any other last thoughts that we have before we get into all of our rankings and stuff?
Just love lives today.
It sure does.
Love, 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 love. What is that Powerpuff Girl song? Do y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Just me? Okay, cool.
No.
All right, let's do some Rotten Tomatoes.
It's the Rotten Tomatoes game.
Okay, Rotten Tomatoes. What do you think that this movie has on the thing called Rotten Tomatoes? Nikisha, why don't you go first? What do you think this has on Rotten Tomatoes?
Okay, can I just say on Peacock they show The Thing, and I watched this yesterday, but would it be
Mm.
different today, do you think?
It
Possibly,
might be.
maybe.
I have accidentally seen it like on Friday, and
Okay.
then
Oh,
I'm assuming it's different. I
so
told you that
yeah.
when I
So let's do
was
it. Let's do a test. Tell me
okay.
Okay.
what you saw the day you watched it. So Jamie saw it on Friday. Nikisha saw
Okay.
it on Saturday. Let's see what it is on Sunday.
Fantastic. Saturday it was 60.
I think it was on Friday. I think it was in the 40s.
Oh wow.
It was low.
Well, right now it has a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if
Oh.
let's see. So the thesis is the consensus here. Excuse me. Halloween ends for now anyway with a frequently befuddling installment that stabbed, slashed, and beaten by a series of frustrating and missed opportunities.
Mm.
Okay.
So
What's
that's
the
what
audience?
the audience is 57, but there's nothing
There's
that
no like
there's no
consensus.
like written out consensus
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
But I also am interested in seeing. I don't remember. Does anyone remember what Halloween Kills was? I'm looking it up now.
Mm-mm.
No.
But Halloween Kills is probably, I would assume that Halloween Kills is higher, right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it probably is. It Oh no, it's not. Halloween Kills is a 39%.
Oh
Oof.
yikes.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then the Halloween um 2018 on Rotten
Mm-hmm.
Tomatoes has a 79%.
79.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Wow.
Um
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah. Anyway, let's do some 4S's.
Cool. Oh, maybe I was looking at the audience score. Can they put both of those
Mm.
in the
Oh,
thing? I
maybe.
think the 60 was the audience score. Just kidding. Fantastic. Four S's, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Skull, scare, shakes, and suggestions. The talking horns, 4 S's.
Skulls, scares, shakes, and suggestions. Jamie, let's start with your skull, scares, and shakes. 1 out of 10. Skulls is how it handles human health and mental behavior. Scares is how scary it was, and shakes is how much you will remember this. Um, Jamie, and then we'll do suggestions in a bit. Jamie, what are your thoughts?
So for skulls, I gave this a 2 because I just really have a hard time understanding
Hmm.
people's motivations and general behavior. For scares, I gave it a 3. I didn't find this super scary. But like again, there's some moments of like tension and like, oh, what's gonna happen? I also
Yeah.
was like, there's no way that Laurie Strode is like going to commit suicide, and I'm insulted at the thought that
Mm-hmm.
she's going to. But then I was like, what is about to happen? um Shakes, I gave it 2. This movie, I'm like, okay, it ended, cool, give me the reboot in 3 years, and we'll be on to the
Exactly.
next one. So not very memorable for me.
Mm-mm.
Nikisha, what about you?
I gave Skulls a 4 just for the potential of it all, but it's still not executed well. Scares, I gave it a 2, and Shakes, I gave it a 2 as well.
Cool. I give this a 1 for skulls. I think that trying and failing for something of this nature is worse
Hmm.
than trying and making it a little bit interesting. Um,
Fair.
I give it a 4 for scares because I did like have a visceral reaction when that kid fell at the beginning. And then
Mm.
the DJ scene was like not great. Also, when they break his arm at the end, I hate that. Like that kind of stuff always gets me. And like
Ooh,
his
yeah.
his like hand in half, like that stuff. Um, I gave this a 5 for shakes because I didn't
Mm.
like it, but I think I will think about what it was trying to do. I will think about this one way more than Halloween Kills because I thought this was so poorly executed, but had interesting ideas that like I'll still think about it. I will not be watching this
Mhm.
again. Like I'm not going to be thinking about it enough to watch it again. So there's that. Um, I'll start with my suggestions. I went with Smile. It's a better movie from this year. Let's talk about like evil and trauma and like passing on evil through trauma. Like if we want to talk about that stuff, like just go see Smile. It was so what a fun horror ride this year. And it
Oh,
doesn't it's trying to say something, whether you like it or not, and it sometimes hits you over the head with it, but it's just way better executed for what it's trying to do.
Yeah. I still need to go see Smile. Ugh. Oh God. Not the creepy. I could not think of a suggestion, so I'm just gonna go, Jamie, you.
I had a really hard time trying to think of a suggestion, but in Brian and I's discussions in the car over the weekend, I'm going to go with the most recent Scream. Is that 5 Scream? The
Mm.
Scream?
Mm-hmm.
Scream 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because in reflecting on this and like the trilogy, and then like kind of thinking bigger on like our slashers that we have, I feel like Scream is a more, and I'm so sorry if I offend people, I think Scream is a more effective franchise when it comes to sequels and like the chain expanding, because
Mm-hmm.
the through line isn't one singular killer. You have the image of the killer, Ghostface, but they're always trying to say something, you know, contemporary, and that's the meta. And as long as you
Mm.
have those two things, that chain will literally, it will never die.
Yeah.
Unlike this, where like they have to have this like big, okay, Michael's dead, like the evil is ending, because it's just a person, as far as we know.
Right.
Again, they decide however they want to decide that every time they reboot this, again, similar to like Freddy and Jason, who are immortal. So I feel
Mm.
like it already kind of, you got a different way to keep the franchise going with for Scream
Yeah.
5.
Absolutely.
Cool
Cool.
beans.
Well, cool beans.
The beans are cool.
Well, I think that wraps up our episode of Halloween Ends. You can follow us on the Instagram, on the Twitter, on the TikTok at Talk Horror Pod, POD. And Brian, where can they listen to us?
Wherever you get podcasts. Of course, you can watch it on YouTube. Hi. But you can
Bye.
also find us on things like Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and of course, Apple Podcasts. Rate and review us there. 5 stars, please.
And thank you.
Yeah, and then the rest of this month, well, if you're listening, we're going to be doing VHS 99, and we're also going to be covering some other spooky stuff. But VHS 99 is the other new one we're covering this month. For all other stuff, go to TikTok. Thank you.
Take it easy,
Yes.
talk me.
Fantastic. Brian, you want to leave us with a fabulous quote from this movie?
Yeah, Nikisha, boys who keep secrets don't get custard for dessert.
Who even eats custard? That's such a
Listen, you teased a man with brain damage and he snapped.
moral
Oh
of
yeah,
the story.
can I just say nobody blames the doctor from the
Yes,
Halloween
Dr.
2018 that
Loomis- or
released
the
him.
other one.
Hello,
Yeah, for
the other
sure.
doctor. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's my last word.
Or the podcasters.
F that guy.
Blame the podcasters.
Oh yeah, and they suck too. Podcasters are the worst. The end.
The end.
Or is it? Dun-dun-dun.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.